Garrett, let's take a moment and say thank you to our sponsors at Fuji Sport.
Yeah, absolutely.
They've been working with us for a very long time, not only on this podcast, but also at the Academy. And I'm taking a peek at their website right now, and they have a brand new ultra light gi. Now, this is mind-blowing. I'm looking at my size. A2 is 2.75 pounds. I mean, that's under 3 pounds. That's mind-blowing.
I could even lift that. And go to their website, fujisports.com. Check it out. Anything you could need for your jiu-jitsu journey, you can find at fujisports.com.
Hey, it's been a while since we started RŌL TV project.
It's been a while since you started it. I did come in later, and I can't say enough about it, especially the new platform. It's really amazing, fully customizable, and you know a little bit more about the structure.
Well, so 2 things you need to know. One is the subscription service, which is $9 a month. You can get access to hundreds of videos, hundreds of drills, techniques, and so on in a very nice library categorized as you need them. But 2 different lessons. You can actually purchase those individually and you own them. So the subscription is not tied to it at all. You can look at things like spider guard, half guard sweeps, half guard chokes, folding pass, and so on. There's so many of them out there. So take a look and see where you need help with the videos, right? 30%. If you type in RŌL Radio as a code.
Who doesn't like saving money? Go to rolacademy.tv. What's up, everyone, and welcome back. If you haven't already, please remember to hit the like, share, subscribe, download, listen, and whatever other button there is, and leave us a review wherever you do listen. That ensures that we can continue bringing you the great guests and amazing content that you have come to expect. Today's guest has a passion for travel as well as jiu-jitsu, and it was during those travels that she first put on a jiu-jitsu gi. 10 years later, she's a black belt under a true legend of the sport. Heather Woods is here to discuss her journey, why she travels to train and teach rather than owning her own academy, training for the adult division versus masters, what it takes to be in the top 1% of grapplers, her online coaching program, and more. Here's the RŌL Radio with IBJJF gold medalist, Fight to Win champion, and ATOS black belt under Andre Galvo, Heather Woods.
Welcome to RŌL Radio.
And we are live.
Yeah,
Welcome back.
Thanks.
Finally.
I was out for a few of these. Flu's no joke this year. It's pretty terrible.
Oh,
But,
yeah. You got hit hard, huh?
Yeah. I mean, I get sick
I
once
don't.
or twice. No, thankfully you don't.
I don't.
You get sick a couple times a year. Hopefully that'll go down now that I'm not coaching all the little kids.
Yeah.
It was no fun. I went to the doctor. I never go to the doctor.
I know.
I'm one of those guys.
I know.
And I was like, no, I need to go.
You know what I enjoyed actually when I was
Out of me
messaging you
having the flu?
like-
Let's find out what you enjoy. Yeah.
Like every time I was asking you what the doctor say, you very creative answer to avoid the question.
Right. And it's funny because, it's like, are you asking for a doctor's note? Because I'm not coming to work too. Or
no, you were working.
Do you care?
There's no days off here.
Yeah, there isn't. But so I was, I was like, I should probably just go in anyway.
probably
And I got
well.
tested, and it came back positive, and I sat out for a week and a half, and
Yeah.
I'm still coughing a bit. But so what? That's what we should be talking about is Tap Cancer Out.
Oh yeah, John. Yes.
Yes,
John's doing good things.
And when this is released, they'll have a couple tournaments at the beginning of next year. But what they're really looking for now, December 17th, Global Grappling Day 2022. The location for that is anywhere in the world. It is an online event. They had a really, really great turnout for it last year. So check that out. Go to the website, tapcancerout.org/tournaments, and you can register for Global Grappling Day. Everything's open. So check it out. And then early next year, they'll be in Phoenix and San Diego. So like I said, go to the website and sign up.
Those guys are busy.
They're very busy. They're always busy. John does a great thing. His tournaments, if you're not familiar, are extremely well run, very professional. So check him out. What are you laughing about?
I was about to make a smart smartest comment, but
Well, I'll make it.
It's
too late now.
I held back. It already passed. It
All
already
right.
passed. Well, but anyway, good to have you back on the show.
Thanks.
I said this before, but the dynamic is different when you're off here, and like more importantly, all the responsibilities on me for the show to run, and that
It is, and then
kinda
the
ruins
audio
my day.
sounds- we have one coming up with no video. We have not so good audio.
Just things get ruined when you're not here. So
Thanks. It's nice to know that I'm needed.
Because it's
You're
not necessity.
I am.
It's not nice to have you. You're just necessary.
I'm necessary. Yeah, kind of like at home too. It's not nice to have me, but I'm necessary. I have responsibilities to meet. And things
We
like
tolerate
that,
you,
so.
essentially.
All right, whatever, man. I'm okay with that. I'm fine. I'm getting into my 50s now. If I'm tolerated still after 50 years, I'm doing something right.
You're doing something right.
Yep.
Fair enough.
All right, let's go.
Let's get to the guests. Heather, great to have you. Thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out with us and devoting a little bit of your busy time to have this conversation.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate you having me on the show. As you can see, I'm in my friend's staff room and kind of like a closet. So I'm glad I could find a quiet space to chat with you guys.
Oh, that's good.
We were talking before we start recording, but there's a lot of firsts on this show. We had a show in the bathroom, we had a show in the car, and now we have a show in the storage.
Storage
so
room.
we kind of keep adding to the list.
I don't know where we had
awkward locations.
Yeah. Well, we had Dean Lister on, and he looked like he was sleeping in his friend's basement. It was very awkward. He's a unique individual, but it was very like somebody might be chained to a pipe around a corner that we can't see.
So, but where are you at? Yeah. Where exactly are you at? Where are you traveling right now, or?
Yeah, so on Saturday, today's Monday. On Saturday, in this gym, Combat Arts Academy, it's in Delridge. It's like a part of Seattle. And my friend Amanda Lowen and I, we taught a seminar here. And then yesterday, I went to a friend's birthday up in Everett, or her son's birthday. And then now I'm heading to Tacoma to teach a workshop tonight.
Nice. Busy. On the road. On the road.
Yeah.
How is life on the road? If you look at jiu-jitsu instructors, I feel like they separate into two buckets. And like creating black and white scenarios, there's some hybrid in between, but creating black and white scenario, there's the ones who are kind of anchored into their own academy or an academy of their choice. And there is the small group who travels constantly. They're constantly on the road. How do you feel about one versus the other?
So I'm in my 30s. I know you can't tell. No, I'm just kidding.
Gary's in his 50s.
So I'm just a kid to you. I feel like, honestly, one of the luxuries of jiu-jitsu and what I love the most about it is it's brought me all over the world. I've had the privilege of being able to travel to Europe, to Australia, to South America, a lot in Mexico because of jiu-jitsu. I was able to find gyms and then find like simple jobs like in an Italian restaurant or babysitting or teaching English or this and that. And actually jiu-jitsu provided me with a lifestyle that is incredible. Now that I'm in my 30s, I'm exhausted and I really want to find somewhere that I want to live and like settle down. And that's like next year. In my 5-year plan, that's like next year. But if you do see a lot of people traveling, it's because it's incredible. Like how many people, okay, so this is, for example, I grew up in Idaho. The majority of my friends have been maybe to Mexico to a resort. I have lived like everywhere in a favela. I've lived all the way on the other side of the world in Australia. Like I've worked shitty jobs for half minimum wage or just to have a roof over my head. Like I feel like it's given me really good experiences, really tough experiences, but it's so drastic from like the friends that I grew up with in Boise, which was a really small town growing up. So I think it's kind of a privilege. So for those who do travel and for those who stay at home, maybe they've already traveled so much and they're exhausted. Like I'm so tired. Every day I'm just so tired because now the older I get, I love routines, and routines are just like really hard when you're on the road. So I think that's the difference between the two, is mainly age, maybe.
Do you ever look into the future and say, I would love to settle down? I would love to have my own place, or a place of choice where I can just teach, I can show up, have my own students, right? Because one of the big differences between teaching jiu-jitsu on the road versus at the academy is that you don't see the same students all the time. And many view this as a benefit. There's a diversity and variety and so on. But others look at it as, I don't see the same people. I don't see the progression of the student at all, because it's kind of check in, check out in a sense, right? Even if it's a stay in, it's a short period of time. So do you ever look forward to a situation where, you want to settle down, you want to kind of, have own place, have own students, where's your mind on that?
So as a brown belt, I talked to Andre Galvo about opening my own academy, and I had a business plan. I had investors, and a few things fell through. It was going to be in Mexico City, and a few things fell through. So the turn of events, then COVID, I don't remember which was which, but a few things happened, and I started teaching more seminars, and I realized that the more academies that I went to, the more seminars I taught, the more workshops I did. I'll do sometimes a week of guest classes as well, because I really like to get to know the people and the students and the cities and whatever. But I don't really want an academy. It's a lot of work. I've owned my own business before. I owned an eyebrow studio, and that's a lot of work. But that doesn't involve babysitting other humans. And if you have a jiu-jitsu gym, not only do you have to be there, you're laughing over there.
Because I babysit this guy every day.
Come and go as I please.
Yeah. So I don't know if I just have the emotional bandwidth to do that every single day of my life. I feel like that would kind of take out the joy of jiu-jitsu. And honestly, sometimes I just like beating the crap out of a brand new white belt, and if it's my white belt, I don't know,
would feel
they might
bad.
just quit. No, they might
You
quit.
lose a
I
member?
don't know. They'll be like, we don't like her. I think it's just my interest now is to find a place I'd like to live, and then I would be happy to teach competition classes or women's classes. I like teaching kids as well. I don't mind teaching beginners. But again, it's a lot of work. I really just like teaching the intermediate level. I love seeing the progression when they're starting to really jiu-jitsu clicked for them. It makes sense. I really love this stage. And kids are super smart. They learn super quick. And I love teaching women because I feel like all women should learn jiu-jitsu. It's incredible self-defense. Nobody attacks you standing up. So teaching them Krav Maga is I kind of dumb. So I just think more something like this and a little stability, but not in the sense of owning my own gym. I just don't think I can. Maybe if I had a partner, but then you have business partners, and then does that work? And
so essentially,
it's a whole nother topic.
Yeah, and what I'm hearing essentially is that you would like to settle down, but you want a little bit more freedom, right? The weight of owning a business is heavy. I mean, we know that here. It's heavy, and maybe you're not in that point of your life yet where you want to take that on. So,
for sure. Any
interest? What's the best place? Because you've been around the world everywhere. What's the best place for you? What's your favorite?
I don't know. I've been trying to think about this for a long time. Everywhere I go, I love something about that particular culture or that particular city or those people, or I love something. I always find something that I love, but I've never just been somewhere and been this is my place. These are my people. I've always find great people. I can make friends with a lamppost. I have no problem meeting other humans, and I always make good friends.
You talk to lampposts?
Wait, no, I can make friends.
That's why she's doing so well here.
But I've never found something somewhere where I was wow, and everything about like the food, the culture, the people, the weather, the everything. I really like the Pacific Northwest, but for about 4 months of the year, it's just complete shit. It's like super suicidal over here.
That's pretty much like Chicago. Same thing.
It,
It's
it was
nice,
70 last week. It's 30 now, and it's going to be 30 and gray for 4 more months.
Oh, you guys are in Chicago. I didn't actually know where you guys were.
Yeah,
Sorry,
we're
you're in
outside the
Chicago.
city a little bit. Yeah.
Oh, so that's terrible. Yeah, the winters there are horrible.
Thanks.
I mean,
Thanks for making us
been...
look. Thanks for making us feel like crap. Yeah, that's great.
Well, I've never been there, but I heard the winters are just like god awful.
Yeah,
no, they are amazing. We love them.
Really?
It's the
We
Midwest.
love them. Yeah. No,
okay.
not really.
No, the sun comes, it goes away in October, late October. It'll make an appearance again in May for a couple months. And then, I had a professor that in college that called this, he flew back and forth from Jersey, of all places. And he said that Chicago was the godforsaken city because he would leave the East Coast and the sun would be out and then they'd go into the clouds and never come out.
Yeah.
He would land at the airport and it was still cloudy. And it's just, that's the way it is. That's how we live for, 6 months.
Yeah.
And your airport, I've been in your airport. O'Hare.
O'Hare.
Oh, it's horrible. Yeah, the planes don't leave.
It has a reputation. It does have that reputation.
There you go.
So
yeah, I'm joking. Actually, it had a yoga studio, which I found really cool.
You had a yoga studio?
No, your airport has a yoga studio.
Oh, we have one. There's one at O'Hare, huh? I don't know. I find the bar when I'm at the airport. That's all I do. So I'm one of those. Yeah.
Gary is Gary.
Well, I need it,
But listen, so recently, right, you've been awarded the black belt. So it's been what, about a year and a half or so?
Yeah, a little less than that. Probably like 14 months or so. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a little over a year.
More than a year. Yeah, more than a year.
Did you feel like the instant amount of wisdom has been brought upon you as the black belt arrived?
Yeah, actually, when I got my black belt, I realized that I am also now a medical professional. I am a philosopher. You could ask me anything about therapy. Like, I'm definitely like well versed in anything like emotional intelligence. And no, I like most. It's hard because you see black belts and you see average black belts. You see the 1%, and you see the somewhere in between. And it's always hard as a competitor when I know that I will, that what the 1% can do. And when you train with that 1% and you're just like, I want to be there, but maybe you start too late or you have had injuries or this and that. So no one, I don't know if anyone really feels like a black belt, I guess, if that makes sense. So
yeah, I don't know.
No, I'm starting. I mean, I love jiu-jitsu and I feel like I'm great at it, but I don't know if I'll ever feel like that 1% black belt. So that 1%er.
Who is 1%? Who is 1% to you?
I think the 1% would be like my professor, like Andre Galvo, of course, Gordon Ryan, Maisa Bastos, Fionn Davies, Bia Mesquita, Luisa Montero. That's like, that to me is the 1%.
So how do they achieve that level? And most, I mean, 99% or even more do not even get close.
I feel like it's a lot of components. Like, for one is the amount of training. I trained for the girls, at least with the girls. I trained with Maisa when we were blue belts. She might have been purple at the point. It's one, the dedication. Two, I think a lot has to do with it is if you start jiu-jitsu either in your teens or early 20s, that's always helpful. But having good coaches, a lot of the things that I'll tell you about in my online coaching program is not having to learn these things on our own. Like, jiu-jitsu back then was such a, I don't know, you'd watch DVDs like voodoo videos, and we could watch DVDs at one point, but we never had everything that was accessed today. But just like treating it as they are Kobe Bryant, like the 1%, the diet, the strength and conditioning, the like a doctor, good medical, good physical therapy, great training, great coaches. Like, I feel like you need all the things to be the 1%. And you have to learn how to get them. And you also have to have heart. You have to work really hard.
So let me ask you this. Can anybody be in that group of 1% as long as they find all these things and they apply themselves and they push hard and they have goals and they go do anything possible to get there? Or they not everybody can?
I don't think everybody can. No, I don't think so. I think 1, 2 is a big part is age is when you start. Is if you're 30 years old and you want to be in the 1%, especially as a male, it's going to be really hard. It's going to be really, really hard. I don't know if it's possible for everybody. No, I don't think so. I think I think everyone has a chance to be in that middle ground when they're above an average black belt, but not quite the 1%, when you're like this competitor middle ground. I think everyone has like could do that if they had all the tools and they had the heart. But the 1%, I don't know. I think you got to have a little bit of talent, like natural talent too.
So you think you are born with it?
I think you're born with a little bit of it for sure. But I have seen some incredible athletes who work very, very hard and who I don't really feel were born with talent, and they still are in that 1%. And then I see people who are born with talent but don't work hard enough, and if they did, they would be the best in the world, in my opinion. Like for example, the Rotolo twins, born with talent but also work really hard. That's why you see them. They're also 1%. Like Cade, Ty, it's incredible. They work super, super hard, and they're also very, very talented.
Yeah, it's definitely a combination of all things. Like it's just not you show up and it happens. The grind takes place, and even if you look outside of jiu-jitsu, professional sports, basketball, hockey, football, whatever it is, swimming. I mean, like, you know, even like I recently was reading about Michael Phelps, and like it didn't just like he liked swimming. It was freaking grind, 10, 12-hour days, you know, to achieve the level that he did on the top of being, you know, with this ideal body shape to provide him the tools that he needed to do what he needed to do. So it's definitely a very fine line. Garrett, did you want to?
Well, I think that jiu-jitsu is finally at that point where that 1% is now the same as the 1% for other sports, if that makes sense. You know, for years, the top people were people that didn't need all those other things. But then as time went on and people started picking those things up, it raised the bar.
You're talking about like physical attributes,
yeah,
and working out and being in shape.
It was the physical attributes, and you didn't have to have the best coach. You didn't have to have a weight training program or any kind of cross training at all. You would just go out there. Your jiu-jitsu was good, but now everybody's been stepping it up to the point where you do need all that other stuff plus the natural talent.
No, I totally agree with you.
Yeah, it's probably the first sign, or one of the signs of this becoming a professional sport, like professional job. I mean, look at, you know, I think like him or hate him, but Gordon Ryan, I think, is the first one who's really paving the road for everybody else after him as far as truly doing jiu-jitsu competition for a living, actually being a professional athlete in the jiu-jitsu realm. Anybody prior to that, they've done phenomenal, but I don't know if we can call them a professionals. Like, I don't know what you think about that. Like, can you call Marcelo Garcia or Haja Gracie a professional jiu-jitsu fighter?
Yeah, I think so, because I think, like, well, financially, I know that both of them, not know, but I'm pretty sure both of them make about 6 figures a year. And that's between
so let me challenge you on that. Do they make 6 figures because they have academy, or do they make 6 figures because they perform on a stage? Because that's two different things.
That's true. Those are 2 different things for sure. Yeah, for sure. So that's definitely like a point of discussion, like where as an athlete, are we financially like comfortable just from competing? Like, this is the first year that I'm financially comfortable, but I have an online business. So then I guess it wouldn't just be competing. So, but I mean,
because you look at, let's just say Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant, right? They're not coaches and then they play. They are
Yeah, they're
100%
only players.
athletes. They are only,
Yeah.
this is what they make a living on. They don't have, online coaching. They don't have, privates here and there. They don't do seminars or workshops, none of that. No, they're 100% focused on their job. And this is the only thing they do, right? So
Yeah.
Jiu-Jitsu, I think, is one of those unique professions when we are not there yet. And yet is a key word, where athletes need the supplemental income in order for them to do what they love and continue performing. But then the flip question here is, because they are focusing on these other side hustles, could they be really better, much better, if they could 100% focus only on their competition? Like, that is a big question in my mind, right?
There was a point, especially during purple and brown belt, where I was working full-time, owning my own business or having a full-time job, and still doing the 2-hour comp training at ATOS and the women's class in the night and open mats on the weekends, drills and lifting. And I felt like I wanted to throw up every single day. I felt I could have done a much better job as an athlete if I had not had to work a 40-hour week. So
yeah,
it's a huge difference.
I think, it's a huge difference. So I think it's definitely, and this is another thing too, going a little bit back to your question of, can anyone be the 1%, is I see a lot of people who say that they work hard. Like, for example, some MMA fighters, they're like, oh, we train so much. And I see them taking like 2 classes per day. And then I see a hobbyist doing the same exact thing. So where's the bar and what's working hard? Because if you're taking 2 classes per day, but you're only doing like 6 rolls, and yes, you're learning, but what is really working hard? So are you actually being a competitive athlete if you're not putting it in at least 25 hours a week of your sport? Like, some of these people are calling themselves professional athletes, MMA, Jiu Jitsu, and they're only in the, maybe they're in the gym for a long time, like teaching or this or that, but training 10 hours a week, not including teaching, actually training themselves, drills, studying, like doing jujitsu 10 hours a week. That's not a professional to me. So I think that's what separates, is actually putting in the work, when some people think they put in the work, and I'm like, it's not hard work. So,
I don't remember who was on which episode this was, but somebody said here on the show that being competitor is a very selfish act. It's all about you.
A few people,
and being an instructor is a very selfless act, where you care about others and you have to take sacrifices on your side. And I think those two are black and white. Like, mixing them puts you in where you're talking about this burnout stage. There's, you care about others, but yet you got to care about yourself, and which one's give and take, right? This is what is very difficult. This is why, and again, hate him or love him, it doesn't matter. But this is where Ryan is so successful, because it's all about him. He performs at the highest level, and that's all that matters. It's his performance, and he's selective on what he does, how he does it, and you can't argue with the point of success that he's brought in the last couple years. So I'm really hopeful that this is just a beginning of jiu-jitsu becoming a professional, truly professional sport, for the next decade or 2 or 3. And who knows where this is going to go. I think it's only going to benefit us.
I think so.
So a little over a year with a black belt. Where did this all start? Do you remember your very first day on the mat?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Do tell.
I feel like I'm talking so much. One of the podcasts I went on, I was like, I felt like I didn't talk enough. So now I feel like I'm over talking. So
no, please, no, let it rip.
Yeah, I don't talk at all, so you can pick up my slack.
Actually, my first podcast, I had to have a glass of wine because I was so nervous, and then I just like super rambled / a little tipsy. So I'm no longer incorporating drinking with any live commentary because I don't want to get canceled. And I I really try my best to not just talk shit. So my first day on the mats, I lived with some MMA fighters in LA, and they told me my stand-up was complete trash. And so one of their friends taught me some arm bars and was like, "You're so great at arm bars." And actually, to be honest, I've won most of my matches from a closed guard armbar. So I learned some grappling, and then I started traveling. I did like after college, well, some people do it before college, but I just sold everything and just started to travel. And then I just started to do jiu-jitsu on my travel. So, and then I just never stopped training or traveling. I think I've had like 3 weeks off a couple times when I hurt my knee. And then I would just like slowly go back, train with kids and teens, and then the women, and then everybody. So
did you know what jiu-jitsu really was before you started doing it?
Yes, because in Idaho, a lot of the guys wrestled, and I kind of had heard of it. And then in Seattle, I lived in Seattle when I was 19. And when I was 21, I dated a restaurateur. Is that what you call it? Restaurateur, like guy who owned a bunch of restaurants?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And he had been an Army Ranger, and he had really bad PTSD. So he did MMA as just like a pastime, as a hobby, like twice a week or once a week, whenever he could. And so I always wanted to do it, but he told me that was his thing. And I played soccer, so that was my thing. So I tried to respect that. And slightly angry at him still, because I could have started at a younger age. He actually just got his blue belt after like 16 years. So
wow. There's hope for me.
I kind of would have liked to have given it to him, just to like be like, here you go.
Just to shove it in his face.
No. But yeah, so he did it as a hobby, so I was familiar and with the sport, but I thought the jiu-jitsu part of MMA was gross. I really liked the striking, because my roommates later on in LA who train, they'd always have like ringworm or staff or like something like this. So I thought, like, I associated like jiu-jitsu with those things, and I thought that was like the most disgusting thing ever. So it took me a really long time to try it, and then once I did, I loved it. And then I just take a shower after training, and I've, knock on wood, never got staph yet. So hope never.
Cleanliness is important. It's important.
But
Gary, did you just look at him like you have staph?
No, I think Thomas was reflecting on all the times he's had it, because he kind of was staring off into space. I looked over.
No, I think I had a
I've been good. I used to work with animals. So the ringworm was always ever present. Never got it, but it was always anytime anybody had anything on their skin, I'm like, oh, Jesus, stay away,
Yeah.
So, yeah. I got ringworm in London really bad, because it was just so damp all the time, and my gi would never dry.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And
that's gross.
I was that gross white belt. Like, sometimes I wouldn't wash my gi, which now looking back, like, seems like I would shower every day right after training, but not wash my gi every time. Come on. That's disgusting.
All right. True story. True story. So I think this is going back, I don't know, 18 years back. I'm a blue belt, and there is this gentleman. He's older. He's probably in his 50s or so. Okay. And he comes to the academy every day. He's a good student and all this, one of my training peers. But one of the things we always, we found it interesting, and we made fun of him too, but he had a gi in a trunk. Okay. And what he did is every day he came up, he opened his trunk right in front of the front door of the academy. He took the gi out, shook a couple times, put it on, went back to the academy. He trained for an hour or two. He got out of the academy. He rolled the gi in, put it in the trunk, and then came back next day. Yeah, no.
And he rolled it up,
and
too,
he rolled it up, too.
Disgusting.
Yeah, oh, yeah. No, I'm telling you. So it's always interesting how things unfolded differently. He didn't even have the, like the drying method where you hang it out, air dry it. No. Forget about that. No.
Yeah, I've made the mistake of, like, you train on a Thursday or a Friday, and for whatever reason you don't train all weekend, and you accidentally leave it in your bag. And it's like you open that bag and you get knocked over. Actually, my Margaret, my significant other, was the last one to open the bag like that. And
poor Margaret.
I know, and she refused to wash it, so it taught me a lesson. It was like, if she's nice enough to wash my gi, I should get it out of there right away and get it in the machine. So, oh God, the It's the bag and the
It
rolling it up.
reeks.
Yeah. Do you we always used to ask at the end of the episodes, do you wash your belt?
Ooh, I do sometimes.
When it kind of needs it.
I didn't wash my white, blue, or purple. And brown was during COVID, so I was like, maybe we should wash it, you know.
Yep.
Yeah, I think a lot of people
more worried about COVID than MRSA. Okay,
It's all right.
sounds really stupid.
Yeah, there's logic behind all this.
There's no logic. I don't know.
No. So listen, you engage with MMA, you find it appealing. Stand up and striking is a little bit more fun for you. You engage into the grappling part. Are you doing no-gi at that point, or you are dipping into the pajamas?
Okay, so like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So I didn't put on a gi until I was in Rio. I was in X gym. The professor was Silvio Bering. My first professor was Paloma Schultz, and her ex at the time was Jan. Sorry, I forgot his name. Jan Bering. Silvio's. Flavio Bering?
Mm-hmm.
Like, the lineage? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So this lineage, and she's been my friend since always, and she was one of my first professors. So I put on my pajamas for the first time then, and it was purple. I had a purple gi. It was really ugly. Someone let me borrow it.
How far in were you at this point? A couple years? 6 months?
No, this was probably like I had been traveling for about 3 months doing some no-gi, trying some boxing classes, like not quite. I knew I loved jiu-jitsu, but I didn't really I don't know, until I got to Brazil, I feel like it was more going to like an MMA school or some self-defense classes. Sometimes places I'd go, they'd be like, oh, we don't have classes for girls or stuff like this. In one place in Argentina, the guy was super nice. Luna, what's his name? Lula? I forgot his name. Super nice guy. But he gave me the jacket part of a gi, so I got to play with that. So yeah, it was a couple months until I stepped on a mat, tied a belt, and really started jiu-jitsu. So yeah.
Let me ask you this, like on a serious note. How does it feel to travel between all the academies? So first of all, give me a bigger picture. How often do you go from place to place to place to place? And how many academies do you visit in a period of, let's just say, 6 months or 12 months?
So to make a better timeline, I started to travel, and I traveled through jiu-jitsu until purple belt. I was 6 months into purple belt, and I went to ATOS. I stayed there for 4 years. And during that time, I traveled a little bit, but mainly to teach seminars. Then I was starting to teach workshops as purple belt, some seminars as purple belt, and then at brown belt, a lot of teaching. So now at black belt, I've been primarily traveling and teaching and training. So that's the timeline.
Okay.
So let's go back to the question so that we could get. Sorry, what was the question again?
Pre-ATOS.
Pre-ATOS.
How many academies did you visit?
I don't know. Too many to count.
Ballpark.
I have no idea.
Are we talking about hundreds or thousands?
Ballpark? No. Like 100. Yeah, not thousands. I do love to travel, but I do like to stay places for a period of time. So I would go to a place for 2 weeks or 2 months or 6 months. So it was never.
So
it wasn't like one academy to the.
How do you find an academy that you want to train at? As a white belt, blue belt, purple belt, you go through different towns, you visit and so on. How do you find an academy that you want to be? And the reason why I'm asking this, entering a jiu-jitsu academy is very intimidating, especially when you are female.
Yes.
It is extremely intimidating. This is, I think, one of the main reasons. No matter how friendly the academy is, the act of jiu-jitsu is very intimate. That's number one. Two, there is a certain level of violence is not the word, but physical contact associated with all of this, right? I think those two are some of the biggest reasons why females don't want to try jiu-jitsu. Once they try, they love it, but they don't want to try it. How in the world are you visiting 100 academies within the first few years? And how are you selecting them? How are you finding the one that you really want to be in without, getting engaged with some jerks?
Honestly, this is like 10, 11 years ago. So we didn't have cool things. Like now we have BJJ Link, where they have a whole bunch of academies registered. Is like the Facebook for jiu-jitsu. So like we didn't have that before. We didn't have Instagram. I think we might have had, did we have Facebook 10 years ago?
Probably. Yeah.
A little bit. Yeah. But it wasn't like,
MySpace.
It was really
MySpace.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So old. Don't tell them how old I am.
You already told us a couple times.
Oh gosh, no. Early 30s. So I don't know. I would like arrive somewhere and look in Google, and a lot of academies weren't there. So sometimes I would ask, and sometimes I would go to places and then later find out that there was like some really high level female training in another gym that I just didn't go to. I went to like the wrong place. And so sometimes it was hit or miss. I met some jerks. I have bartended for a lot of my life, like putting myself through college. So I definitely know how to deal with jerks like decently. So, at least drunk jerks. So it wasn't super scary. I think now I'm a little more nervous going into academies than I was as a white and blue belt, to be honest.
Why?
As a black belt.
Why?
Because I feel like I feel like I need to be a good example for women's jiu-jitsu. I feel like I need to show my best jiu-jitsu, and some of it's pressure in my own head, but I need to show my best jiu-jitsu at all times. I need to beat everyone up, yet not beat them up too much that I hurt somebody. I need to be kind. I need to watch my mouth. I don't really get to go 100% Heather. Like, I just kind of, I don't know, as a white belt, you can be whoever you want to be.
It sounds,
you can just go in there, tell everyone to F off and do your best and do your worst, and nobody cares because you're just a white belt. Yeah. You just showed up, so it's not a big deal.
It sounds to me a little bit like all those same reasons you don't want your own academy yet, or at all.
Maybe, yeah. I like jiu-jitsu is just part of my life, like eating and sleeping, drinking, like all the things. So I don't feel like it should be like super restricted, and maybe that's what having an academy means, is like some restriction where you just want to enjoy it. It's your passion.
Do you feel that pressure as a black belt more than ever? When you visit academies?
I definitely feel the pressure. One thing I really like about it is the girls try to kill me. The one thing I don't like about it is the guys try to kill me, because I'm like, man, you're 200 pounds. Like, please don't break me. But one thing I love teaching in Mexico, and I just remember this because I had gotten a little bit of elevation sickness, and then I got food poisoning. I used to just eat anything in the street. Like, I love to eat in the street. And I went to teach at my friend's academy, and I remember starting the rolls, and I was like, oh, I'll do 3-minute rounds so I can roll with all the women and some of the guys. And there was like probably 25 people. So I was like, okay, 3 minutes, and try to do the math in my head. I was like, okay, as many as I can. And all of a sudden, I just see a line of women just surrounding me, and each one's just ready, stepping in, giving like 110%, and the other one's just filming. Like, okay. And then one would come back, and she's like, okay, we're going to go no-gi now. And I was like, okay. I love it because I really love the intensity. It reminds me of ATOS, like the competitiveness. Like, I really want them to kill me. Like, I loved that as a blue belt. When I would go to a seminar with a female black belt, I was like, I want to kill her. Like, so excited. And I remember that joy. And so I love when they come at me like 100%. And it's amazing. I don't love when the guys come at me 100% and they're like a 200-pound D1 wrestler, purple belt, and I'm just like, please, no, no, thank you. So,
but this
yeah,
this has to give you a sense of satisfaction that all these women want to go with you, and they don't want, you know, freebies. They don't want easy round. They are trying to test themselves against you because you have a decade on the mat plus, right? So this has to give you a sense of satisfaction and kind of good feeling inside that you are that role model for a lot of them.
Oh, I love it. I love it. And I try to be the best. Like I obviously am a human and flawed, but I try to not be a complete piece of shit. And I definitely try. Yeah, I love that the women want to beat me up, and I enjoy those rounds so much when they try to murder me. I just, and I mean, some have caught me before, so it's not something that's like never gonna happen. It's like, oh wow, this girl is really good, and you see a lot of potential. So
do you have
awesome.
Do you have a favorite story that comes to your mind where you were training with some of those guys or girls, you know, and it really stuck in your head? Maybe it was funny, or maybe it was kind of ridiculous out of the world.
No, I can't think of a story. I think it's just.
You just destroy them and forget about it.
Do you have...
No, I don't destroy them.
Well, that's kind of what I was going to ask is, do you have like an on-off switch? Or is everybody going to get the same from you?
Oh, no, this is really hard because I really had for a long time 0 100. Like, I was very much that, like, out of control blue belt. I was probably that out of control blue belt until almost brown belt. My teammates would tell me, like, dude, chill, like try to work your technique. And I think it was always like I cared more to win than to get better sometimes. And I think I now feel I can dial it to like 80-20. So it's always interesting when I start going like the 20% and then the girl's like incredible. And I'm like, oh shit, we got to pump this up, but you can't like pump it up too fast because then, you know, just all the things. So yeah, it's always hard. I don't have that like constant flow. I'm very much like all or nothing kind of human. So my jiu-jitsu shows that as well. And I'm working on it. So working on it.
That's the beautiful part about jiu-jitsu, that regardless of your belt or experience, the amount of time on the mat, we always adjusting, we always learning, we always trying to get better, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. It's also something I'm trying to do in life. In life, I'm very much like 0 or 100. But oh, sorry. You want to meet this? You want to meet my child real quick? He travels with me.
Is that Bolo?
Mm-hmm. This is Bolo.
Bolo?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's handsome.
Bolo. He's so handsome. Bolo, say hi. Say hi.
How old is he?
He's been doing pretty good here.
So
he's about 7.
So he travels with you everywhere?
Not everywhere. No, he won't be going to Europe with me, and he doesn't go to Mexico with me. I usually have my mom watch him. I'm going to have some friends watch him while I go to Europe for Europeans, because I'm probably going to be gone about 6 weeks. But yeah, he goes any place that I go in my car, he goes. And almost everybody's been happy having him in their gym. He's really well-mannered. I don't know if you can see.
Is he just chilling out?
Where is he?
Oh my goodness. Why can I don't know how to work that thing. Okay. Anyway, he's a really good boy. I just bring him a blanket and make sure that he gets a walk, and we do pretty good at jiu-jitsu. He didn't really like when I was teaching when people were still kind of wearing masks, especially in Seattle. People wear them a little bit longer. And he didn't really like a guy being hovering over me with a mask while it would start growling at him. And like,
so he watches you train?
Yeah, he watches me train. When we're in Idaho, he'll come to the gym with me almost. I train mainly in 2 gyms over there, and he'll go to one of them almost every day. And the other gym, I don't bring him. It's a little bit further away. So he goes most days just because we can hike and then we can go train, or we can go train and then we can go hike and like kind of get it all in.
Yeah, but he doesn't get super protective when you're rolling?
It depends. He really doesn't like when I'm losing. I mean, I don't like when I'm losing either. And he doesn't like, I feel like he can sense it, but when I go with like super alpha females, he doesn't like it. Wow. Even if I'm winning the whole round, and
Does
been
he-
like super.
Does he
What's
not? Does he not like when you're losing because somebody's beating you, or you're not giving it your best? Does he know?
I don't know. No, but he definitely. I feel like he definitely senses the energy. So like that's about the only time. But no, he usually does pretty good. If he can't see me, one time I was training in 10th Planet Oceanside, and in the gym is a little bit darker. It's Gio Martinez's gym, and it's a little bit darker on the other side. Especially during COVID, they had like the windows blocked off, and he let Bolo come, and Bolo was like whimpering because we were so far away and he couldn't see me, and it was a little bit more dim. So he definitely likes like brighter gyms that you can see across the mat, and he can be close to me and always have eyes on me. But he's not the worst. He's
That's cool.
He's a pretty good boy.
That's
He's a
awesome.
pretty good jiu-jitsu
Yeah.
dog.
I can't even hug Margaret without my dog losing his mind. Like you can't go any so
Really?
possessive. Yeah.
Really?
Yep. I
Over
can't-
you or her?
Her.
Really?
Yeah. If
Oh,
I-
he's protective over her.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. I mean, he doesn't get aggressive, but he lets me hear it. And if I'm hugging her to say goodbye, he runs in between us and starts circling, like figure eighting
Oh,
between our
really?
legs and stuff.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's super possessive. It's
Yeah.
pretty funny.
You know how possive Wesley is?
Probably doesn't care at all.
No,
right?
he lifts one eye and
Yeah.
then he goes back to sleep. I have a boxer, so
Yeah,
I love boxers. What kind of dog do you have?
he's an old English Catalua Hound mix. So he's
Oh.
he's a scruffy, long-haired,
yeah,
60 pounds of
Yeah.
energy.
energy. Yeah.
But
Bolo is a Catahoula mix as well. He's a Catahoula pit bull.
Pitbull, I could see the pit. It's not really a. What do they call that color? I forget what they call
Like
his
a
color.
merle.
Merle,
So-
that's
sorry,
it. Yes,
Sorry, just 1 minute. Bolo, come here. It's okay. Come on.
he knows
Come
we're
on.
talking about him. He doesn't want to be back on camera.
No, I think he started to hear people, so he was just, yeah. Well, yeah, he's a Catahoula mix. He's such a good boy.
Good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think
I
the
love him.
sheepdog. I know somebody that shows sheepdogs, and she says that the attitude of my dog is from the sheepdog side. So
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
yeah, he's a pain.
Well, actually, Bolo doesn't like when I hug people either. But for some reason, he just got used to me doing jujitsu, so he'll travel well. But if I'm hugging someone like in a house or something like that, or if I'm laying down, then he becomes protective. But in jujitsu, he's okay. So I think
That's so
he knows.
interesting.
Funny. That's
He knows the difference.
I guess he can. Yeah,
Yeah.
he can probably. I don't know. Maybe feel your energy, or he's just used to it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know?
dogs are
Yeah,
smart.
we're just used to it.
Dogs are-
Yeah.
they're smart. Well, speaking
sure.
of competition, so
Mhm.
recently you entered the master divisions, right? This
Mhm.
is somewhat a new experience for you, right? So we're not talking.
Actually, I did masters before. I'm not going to say when because I don't want to. I mean, I guess you could Google how old I am, but
Again, you've told us like 3 or 4 times.
I didn't tell you. No, I competed in masters before. I never really did quite well. I think because I was normally training with so many adults, and when I was training at ATOS, the adults train a certain style. Like masters trains a different style, and I really dug deep this last masters worlds because I was like, man, I have to win. Like I can't not win. And I researched all my opponents, and I did notice like one girl only stalls. Like her whole game is to stall. And when I went to fight her, she was actually my final. And when I went to fight her, I sat back for a knee bar. And in my mind, I was like, no, you have to stick to your strategy. You have to stick to your strategy. And the thing is I had sat back for a knee bar on another masters girl in an adult division before. And she just came up and held and got 2 points and held for the entire rest of the 10 minutes. And like, I couldn't get away. It was in an open class, like a bigger woman. And so I had, in my finals match in masters, I was like, I can't. Like I watched all of her videos. And if I sat back for this knee bar and like, God forbid I didn't get it, I would just be down by 2. And what if I couldn't get that back? It's such a short time. It's super hard to get your points back. And masters, if you have 5-6 minutes, like it's insane. You get 2 points on you and you're done. So it's not fast paced. It's really hard to create a fast paced environment. So that my finals, I actually did win on advantage. very, very gi thing to do. My other matches I did much better. But I also studied those opponents, and they were a little bit more dynamic. The one girl, she had just won Brasileiros in her division, and she was a lot more dynamic. She had really good attacks, and she kind of opened up. So it was more like fighting an adult. So I played my game, but not letting her play into her game too much. Whereas someone who's a little bit more reserved and slower pace and maybe a little more stally, it's great for a master's division. You get your points or your advantage and you wait. But I had to be the person who did that first. So a master's division, you have to have a really good strategy. Sorry.
So what would be the biggest difference between adults and masters? Like if you were to talk to some of the women who are about to breach into that category between those two big pillars, right? What would be the biggest differences?
I think in masters, there's things you have to consider. Like, for example, is if in Nogi Worlds, I decide to do adult, I'm going to research my opponents. But in masters, I already know some of my opponents. For example, if I do open class, I might fight Michelle Nicolini. And that would be amazing because she is a legend, right? But this is someone who's done jiu-jitsu the same as Bia Mosquito, like who's been a black belt longer than I've done jiu-jitsu. So it's definitely very hard. Masters division is not easy. And even if you guys are familiar with some of the men's divisions, like Peter Frank, Sergio Rios, Josh Hinger, just to name a few masters who like slaughter adults, right? Mm-hmm. Incredible performances. It's so fun to watch. The masters division is not easy. The only difference, I think, is to have a good strategy. And I like to research my opponents to see if they're going to be more dynamic or they're going to be slow and stally. If I need to catch 2 points and then kind of ride out the match. If I need to fight with all my heart, the masters division, the women tend to be, for the women especially, they tend to be strong and they're mentally hard to break. So hard to break. Whereas adult women, like, we haven't had to deal with, like, the adult women haven't had to deal with you men for so long of their life that they're just a little bit easier. The master women, like, they've had kids, they've had husbands, they've had divorces, they've had trauma. They're just so hard to break mentally. They're so strong, both physically and mentally. It is really hard. So I think that's the main difference for the women's division.
But let me ask you this. A lot of people do consider adult division as a physically more challenging. A lot
for
of
men.
people okay. So
for men,
talk about
men,
that.
I feel.
So talk about that.
In my opinion, I feel like sometimes the women tend to peak a little bit later. Like men, I haven't really studied like testosterone, but I see that men peak at like 26 tends to be the average range, right? Like Gordon Ryan, how old is he? Like 28?
Yeah, he's somewhere out there. Yeah, I don't know. I'll Google it.
He's not in his 30s yet.
Yeah.
He is definitely in his 20s. What about Nicholas Marigelli? The Rotolos, 19 or 20 years old.
Gordon's 27.
Yeah. Okay. So 27. So the Rotolos, 19. Mika Galvo. All of these young boys, they definitely peak in their 20s. And I don't know if you see, but a lot of women MMA fighters, a lot of women jiu-jitsu athletes are still killing it in the adult division at 31, 32 and just starting their career. One girl just got signed to Bellator, Jenna Bishop. I don't know if you're familiar. She's over from that side, from St. Louis. I don't know. Is St. Louis near Chicago?
South.
Okay.
South, yeah.
It's close.
Drivable distance, yeah.
She's in San Diego now. She just got signed to Bellator, and she's like 30 something, like 32. I don't know. Yeah, 33.
Hannah Stack just started MMA.
So let me ask you this: Do you think the success with women is because they peak physically later, as what you talk about, or is it because the saturation of women's skill set is by far, it's not as diverse, right? Like if you enter adult male division. Mm-hmm. At the black belt, you're looking at 100+ competitors. I mean, I don't know. Do you see that? You don't see the same thing in the women class.
Yeah, so it could be like the men is very saturated. I don't think it's going to be 100 plus, to be honest, because especially for adult worlds, you have to make points, and not that many guys are making points.
True, but you know what I mean. When you look at the ratio between men black belts adult and a female black belt adult, there's a huge difference with percentages.
Oh, for sure. It's definitely hard to be in the sport as a female and then stay in the sport as a female, especially with all the like factors and everything. But I think that could also be a good factor as well. Yeah, you could totally be right.
Yeah, I'm wondering too.
We can do some research.
I'm also wondering if like the older females have gone more with men because they didn't have a little bit of what you're talking about. They didn't have the luxury, if you want to call it that, of having more female partners to train with.
Oh, yeah.
They had one or two, and if you're that much better than those one or two, well, then you got to go with the guys to test yourself.
Yeah.
And that might be changing as the years go by.
Well, yeah, because simply more women, yeah. No, it's an interesting topic. It's always interesting to talk about these things and kind of pick everybody's brain and to see where everybody is from that perspective. I don't know if you know, but we've been at this for an hour.
Yep.
Like literally.
Okay. Yeah, we have.
No, yeah.
That's cool.
So listen, before we start wrapping this up, what we do end of each episode is we have a question for you from our previous guest. And when he was asking that question, or she was asking that, when she was asking that question, she had no idea that you will be the one answering it. Gary's going to take a lead on this. Mm-hmm. And let's take a look what the question is and who asked it.
So this is from Leah Stumpf. Unfortunately, I wasn't here for that one. It was one of my flu episodes. But she wants to know, what are your top 3 methods for building energy and recovery?
Oh, wow. Okay. I actually know her, and I just trained with her for the first time in Idaho.
Yeah, she's SBG, right?
Yeah. I trained with her at the SBG at Jesse Brock's gym. You guys know Paul Sharp?
Yes. Oh yeah, we had Paul Sharp on the show.
Yeah, I love Paul. He's great. He is fantastic. Great person. And Jesse, who owns that gym, is fantastic as well. Leah's great to train with. Sorry. So top 3 ways to. Sorry, distract. Top 3 ways to what? Tell me again.
Top 3 methods for building energy and recovery.
Okay. So that's actually going to play into what I want to talk to in just a moment before we turn off. But I think it's super important that you have adequate macros, that you're eating enough, especially I find when people aren't athletes and they love jiu-jitsu. For example, I had one dude in Washington who told me he was going to lose 20 pounds by eating a protein shake and a salad every day. And this dude was like your guy's age. And he was sitting here telling me he was training twice a day, raising his kid. Like that was his job. He was retired military. And so he was Mr. Mom, eating a salad and a protein shake and training 2 classes. And he thought that was like enough food intake. And that was his idea of losing weight. So the biggest thing is food. Like have the proper food, have a nutritionist to make you a meal plan, because you're not just going to golf once a week. Like jiu-jitsu is a sport that we burn like up to, I think one time Kainan told me he burnt like 1,000 calories in comp class. That's like insane.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's more than that guy's going to eat all day.
That's more than the other guy's going to eat. Right. And this guy was doing hard rounds too. He was a great dude doing hard rounds with all these young bucks and everything. So food, number 1, sleep, number 2. And I think just having a good routine. Like I think just having a really good training schedule, because when you start to just be all over the place, you'll cause this cycle of like burnout. And I see a lot of people. Actually, I'm gonna do like an Instagram live with Paul about burnout, because he is very much the dude who's like, "Shut up, train harder," which I agree. I agree with for lazy humans, because, like I said before, there's definitely those people who think they train hard. They're like, "Oh, I went to the gym like." So you went for 5 hours this week. Like that's not competitive athlete, you know? That's like maybe a hobbyist. And so I definitely think that burnout when you have, like, Paul is an example of burnout. Actually, he trains too much. He trains way too much, and sometimes he'll get hurt and he'll keep training. So it's a cycle of when you hurt your body and then you just keep going, because he has such a good work ethic. Where there's people who don't have a good work ethic and they're just trash humans. They're just like lazy and they don't do anything. And those are the people who need that. But anyway, especially if you're a person like Paul or myself or anyone who has a good work ethic, I feel like it's best to make a routine, because if you don't make a routine, then you start overtraining one day because you feel like crap because you didn't train enough, and then you get hurt, and then you train, and then it becomes this cycle of burnout and injury and everything's terrible. So I think those are the main things: is food, routine, and what was the last one I said? Sleep.
Sleep, yeah. And a good traveling companion.
Sleep. Yes. Yes.
Bolo's back.
Bolo's back.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Well, phenomenal advice. And then talk a little bit, before we disconnect, talk a little bit more about your online training. I know that's a big part of what you do and how you do it. How does that even work? What do you do?
Well, thank you for asking about it, because I'm really excited with my program. It's online coaching, and I hired a nutritionist, and I hired a strength and conditioning coach. And we have a program where we help everyone who wants to be either a hobbyist and just wants to get better at the gym and is sick of getting smashed, someone who feels stuck, to someone who wants to compete at the highest level. I've had everyone from white belts to black belts in my program, and I've been able to provide them with good tools, good strategies, a great diet, somewhere of a good headspace where they can be confident and comfortable in their jiu-jitsu and progress well. Because a lot of times people, when they just want to work hard, they'll train too much and they won't train smart. And I don't know if you've probably heard the term like train smarter. Mm-hmm. And a lot of coaches in my past have told me, just train more. But I'm older. Like, I need to do more drills. I need more muscle memory. And I can't just do 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours at night and work a full-time job. So having things like having a proper strength and conditioning, having proper drills to follow, where are the holes in my game? How can I improve those holes? How can I have a good mindset for my competition? How can I balance when people say like, oh, be humble, but like don't have ego, when a little bit of ego is healthy for competition. Like there's all these components that people they'll tell you, do this, do that, do the other. In the coaching program, we give you the best guideline to be the best that you can be, so you can get better faster and you can enjoy jiu-jitsu more. So that's basically essentially what we do.
So how do you feel about the online training? I think there is, right now everything is accessible on our phones, and everything is just right in front of our faces. So easy, not like it was 10 or 20 years ago. But at the same time, I do feel that there is a certain level of hesitance from students engaging into online programs versus having an in-person coach. What's your philosophy from your experience perspective on that topic?
So this is not for them to leave their coach. Right. They keep their coach and they have like a second coach.
So supplemental.
The supplemental, exactly. That was the word I was looking for. So for example, here at this gym, my friend Sonia's gym, where I taught on Saturday, she has 300, 400 students. She cannot and doesn't have the emotional bandwidth to sit down with every single one, talk about their diet, talk about their strength, talk about their mindset, talk about their strategy, review their videos. That's why you pay for private lessons. Instead of just paying for 10 private lessons, you can purchase my program and I can tell you all the things that you need to know, and I can help you along every step of your journey. And so it is supplemental to your training. So it's basically, I'm not sitting there telling you how to do jiu-jitsu. I'm doing video analysis. We're working on all those extra things on the side. So I think people might be, yes, a little hesitant because it's a new thing. And as jiu-jitsu is actually a new sport, like you said, it's just bridging that professional line. So we're into that part where we need stuff like this. Not every, there's another example. Let's say you have a coach who's a phenomenal competitor, but he's not the best coach. Or let's say you have a coach who's a phenomenal coach, but maybe he's not the best competitor. He hasn't competed that much. Maybe he has a mental block. So would he be the correct person to be giving you this advice like, oh, just go try or this or that, like do your best? No. Explain to them the points, explain to them the strategy. How do you win advantages? What's the rule set? How are you going to get this? How are you going to do that? Where are you going to show up? What do you need to do? How do you need to be there? How do you, like, all those things, the hows and whys, and we provide all that for you.
I wish all these tools were available like 20 years ago, you know what I mean, when I was starting.
That's what I wish. I'm providing people with what I wish I had.
Yeah.
And if I feel like if I had that, I was sitting at ADCC being like, if I had the tools that I'm providing people with now, then I could have maybe had a shot to be up there with those girls.
Yeah.
But it's really hard when you're learning stuff on your own and you're failing, and that's part of the cycle. So
yeah,
everyone has their own journey, and I want to be able to provide humans with a better journey and an easier journey than I had.
Yeah, and you've done well. You've done well. There is no shame in anything we do, and you definitely are making impact and have made impact on a lot of people, especially in the women community, women jiu-jitsu community.
Thank you.
We'll definitely be watching as you continue growing and you continue making the dent in an impact on other people. Listen, where can people find you? So how do they get your online coaching? You know, are you available websites, you know, social media? If anybody wants to connect with you directly, what's the best way?
So my Instagram, I have Heather N. Woods is my personal account, and Heather Woods BJJ is my Heather.Woods BJJ. Let me just check and make sure that's the right one. is my new personal account. Heather.Woods BJJ. And then also my website is heatherwoodsjujitsu.com. And all three ways are great ways to reach out. I give a 15-minute consult to anyone who just wants to chat about online jiu-jitsu and online coaching and see if it works for them. So I always give a free consult, and anyone can hit me up and ask me questions.
Nice.
Yeah.
As always, we will put all the links in the show notes. If you do like to reach out and connect with Heather, feel free to do it. I highly encourage you. With a brilliant mind and brilliant tools that I didn't have when I was starting jiu-jitsu, so take advantage of it. Why not? Why not?
Thanks, man.
Absolutely.
All right.
Listen, Heather, thanks for being here. You know, well over an hour at this point. Sorry to keep you past the time.
No, it's okay.
What a great conversation. Thanks for being here. Thanks for sharing your story. Thanks for sharing your wisdom and experience. Gary?
Yeah, I had fun. It was great to meet. Anytime we can meet somebody's dog, I'm all in. So that's great.
Let's get this straight. He wasn't here for you. He was here for Bo. Okay, he was here for Bolo.
Yeah. And so now, like Thomas said, we'll put everything in the show notes. So thank you for your time, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
All right, let's wrap this up.
Are we done?
Yeah, we're done.
All right. Peace.
Later.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to RŌL Radio. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to leave us a review and help us make the show even more amazing. For future episodes, check out our website and follow us on all major podcast platforms. Take care.